doing this.
Yeah, no problem. How you guys doing?
How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm all right.
Good. Where
Sunday,
in the
just
world are you?
enjoying my day off.
Oh, I'm interrupting your day off.
Oh, no, it's all right.
Oh, good, man. Well, we'll get straight into the big news. Your next fight,
Yes, sir.
April the 17th against Natan Levy. Um, what do you know about Levy and what you need to do to beat him in this one?
I know he has a karate black belt, karate background. I think he, likes to grapple. I don't think he's a straight karate stand up type of guy. He's a mixed martial artist. So I just need to come prepared. You know, I always come, train hard, and I just need to make sure I'm mentally focused and prepared for fight night, and just do what I do. And I think I got this one. I'm feeling pretty good about it.
That's always the best way to go into it. So have you like visualized the fight? How do you see it playing out in your mind?
Yeah, I've done a lot of visualization on it. I from what I could tell, he doesn't seem to do well when he's pressured and has to kind of be in a dogfight. So I want to be aggressive. I want to be pushing forward. I want to make him feel uncomfortable. So I
Gosh,
think
yeah.
he's gonna start. I I believe I'm a better striker. I think he's gonna the pressure will start turning him into a desperate wrestler, and I think I'm a better grappler as well. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a fun fight. I know he's a very tough opponent and in his own right. So I think it's going to be, an exciting challenge for sure.
So just to summarize from that, you're just looking to kind of strike and force him into the grappling kind of thing and just impose your will a bit, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. He's only had two fights, I think, at lightweight. He doesn't have much experience. Even the opponents he's fought doesn't have much experience. So I'm looking to use my size and cardio and strength and aggression and experience, and really take it to him.
Definitely a good matchup. I'm really looking forward to watching that one. So how's your camp been going then? I understand you suffered a bit of an injury a few months ago. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. So camp's been great. The injury was I fractured my orbital, and actually had to have surgery, and I have a plate now on the inside of my orbital. No issues though. There, I'm cleared. I've been in training for a couple months now, so it's just a distant memory in the past now.
Well, so
Yeah,
the ready-made armor in there now.
yeah, yeah. Well, maybe if it happens again,
So
I'm gonna have him put a laser eye in there or something.
yeah, so that's fully healed now though. So there's no lasting damage from that then.
Nope, nope. It's all healed. I haven't had any issues. I can't feel like in this area, which is fine. I don't need to feel in that area anyways. But besides that, I'm good to go.
Yeah, little by little, the bionic man.
Yeah.
Um, so so yeah, your UFC so far. I mean, to be honest, you've just faced really high-level grapplers, and
Yeah.
it's fair to say. It's fair to say, probably because of that, that's the reason your record in the UFC has been a little bit inconsistent so far. So, have you made any changes to your training camp this time to fight
Yeah.
another good wrestler?
Yeah. So I've made the biggest change I've made since my last fight is I really dug into the mental aspect of fighting and training and approaching your fights and everything like that. I have fought some very tough opponents, but I feel I was capable of winning every one of those fights, and I feel like I've been almost kind of my worst enemy. Is in my head. Going into these fights, and I feel like I got that worked out. I've been working very hard with a mental coach, doing a lot of, digging on my own, through reading or listening to a lot of different types of, mental training type books or breathing books or, things all along those lines. And I'm feeling really good mentally. I feel like I have a totally different outlook on my everything, mentally than I did, before that last fight. And I think it's gonna really show. I think I'm gonna start really fighting to my true potential, and I'm excited. I'm ready to go out there and have some fun, and just kind of start going the direction I want to go, and then the direction I need to go. In order to accomplish my goals and the things I've set up for myself, and yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting because it's obviously quite a well-known cliche about fighting is 80% mental and 20%
Yeah,
physical. So I guess you're really buying into that and
yeah.
trying to get more involved in that mental side of the game.
I definitely have. And like I said, I feel like it has helped a lot in pretty much every area of my life. So yeah, I'm gonna keep digging into that and keep growing and hopefully keep climbing these ranks.
That's the plan. So what exactly have you done on that side of things then? Just read books and
Yeah.
bit of
So
meditation maybe.
yeah, I meet with a mental coach. Salt Garrison is his name. He's a very good mental coach. Um, I work with him once a week, every other week. And we just talk about things. He gives me like mental exercises type of things to do. Helps me really put things in perspective. Helps me deal with certain mindsets that are negative, giving me the ability to change my outlook on certain things or focus and let some pressures that I always constantly put on myself go, things along those lines. Yeah, and I uh
Yeah.
I really like the results I've been getting.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective, obviously, because not many people have talked to me about going down that road. So it's interesting to hear. Yeah, I
Yeah,
hope it all pans out for you well.
yeah.
Now going back to your opponent, Natan Levy, obviously you both coming from the LFA. Do you think he's got what it takes to make the transition like you have
Um,
to the UFC?
you know, I'm sure he does. You know, he when I got into the UFC, I was 10-2. My like opponent win loss ratio was like almost close to 100 to like 30. It was like my last handful of fights before getting in the UFC. My opponent, like I said, win ratio was like almost 70-30, or it was something along those lines. I don't remember exactly. It was pretty high though. You know what I mean? Like I faced a lot of people, I had a lot of experience, and I think that experience for him is the one thing that's lacking. But that's something that that's fixable. And that doesn't always mean everything. You know what I mean? It definitely helps, but
Sure. Yeah.
he's talented, so I'm sure he'll adjust well, and I have no doubt he's gonna bring it to me, and it's gonna be a hell of a fight. But I just think that experience factor does play a role in like these type of fights, especially it's his first fight in UFC. That's a big step up. I fought some really hard people, and yeah, I'm just real comfortable with where I am right now, mentally, and my confidence is really high. Physically, I've always felt on point and ready to go. Just now that mental aspect is matching that physical aspect, and I just think it's going to be a tough night for him. I just it's a fight. Anything can happen. I'm gonna be ready for every scenario, but I'm definitely planning on going out there and being dominant. That's for sure. I really want to make a statement in this fight, and start, my own type of reign, working my way up.
A good run, yeah. So, I mean, you're
Yeah,
coming from the LFA, obviously, as the former champ. So,
yeah.
what do you find are the biggest differences from fighting in the LFA to fighting in the UFC?
Oh man, just just the level. It is a different level when you step up from that regional scene. LFA is obviously the top of the regional scene. Uh, and a lot of those guys do end up in the UFC and other high level promotions. So it is a very good, stepping stone. But once you get over to the LFC, or I'm sorry, UFC, these guys are from all over the world. They're world class. They all have, high level experience for the most part themselves, and it is a bit of adjustment. Mostly the mental aspect. I felt like it is the biggest adjustment I needed to make. I felt like I have all the ability to compete with all these guys and the skills and all that. That comes along with the physical aspect of it. I just, like I said, I needed to catch up that mental side a little bit and focus in on that. And now that I have, I feel like I'm a much more complete and smarter fighter. And yeah.
So, taking into account that title fight, you're actually the underdog going into that. Would you say that's the biggest moment in your career so far, winning that lightweight title?
Yeah, yeah, I felt that was a moment I was very, that's probably one of my favorite moments to date. That was a huge fight. I felt like I was going in there. They were bringing me in there to lose. That guy was the next big thing, and major. I was the major underdog and everything else, and he won the first round, and then from there on, I just poured it on his ass, and finished him in the fifth, and it was very satisfying, and yeah, it was definitely one of my favorite moments in my fighting career so far.
Awesome, man. And obviously, it was that win that gave you the platform to get into the UFC.
Yeah.
Talk me through that moment, like when you found out that the UFC wanted to sign you. What was that like?
Yeah, it was, man, it was surreal. Most people get into the sport wanting to get to the top or to be, a top guy, get to the best.
Of course, yeah.
So yeah, so to finally get that call up and be like, damn, I'm here, like I'm getting there, and it was really cool. It almost didn't feel real for a little bit. Um, it was awesome, man. It's really hard to explain, but it was
I know, I
really
get it, man.
cool.
I get it. I mean, it's the pinnacle, isn't it? It's what you fight
Yeah,
for, man. So it's
exactly.
top of the top. It's the best fighters in the world, yeah. So, looking back over your UFC career so far, it's only been a short one, but you've had a few fights now. What do you think are the biggest things you've learned so far in a mixed martial arts way?
Yeah, I feel like I do truly belong here in this top league promotion. You know what I mean? Like, uh, I feel like most of every one of my opponents were either Olympic medalist or a high level black belt who winning, big tournaments and things like that, and had all these other accolades. And I felt like I was in every one of those fights. I don't think I really got blown out in any of them. Uh, Maybe that's just my own perspective. I don't know, but
Yeah, no,
yeah,
they were close fights.
I mean, obviously that last one didn't go quite as well. I got caught that early in the first round and got subbed, but other than that, I think every fight's been, close. Um, yeah, and I just adjusting to this level. It's like when you turn amateur to pro. Like you can do all this stuff before you turn pro, but once you turn pro, you're back to the bottom. It's sort of the same
Sure, yeah,
when you
yeah.
go
Way
like
back up.
you. Yeah, yeah. Like I worked all my way up to the top of the regional scene where I was, you know, the number one regional guy. And then I make it to the UFC, and then you know what? You're right back to the bottom, and it all starts all over again. Every aspect of, you know, building yourself back up and all these things. And you know, and I'm just excited to go out there and really start building, you know what I mean? Like it's been a bit of a rough start. You know, I've never in my life gone win one, lose one, win one, lose one. And you know, I'm ready to put a streak together. And I'm looking forward, you know, to this year. You know, I have some big goals that with my new mental training, along with, you know, all my physical training, I feel like it's going to be a really big, good year for me. And I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Good stuff, man. You touched obviously on your camp and training and that earlier, and you train obviously with some real high level monsters at Elevation Fight Team. So
Yeah.
how would you think that since you moved there a few years ago now, how do you think that's helped your development as a fighter and as a person, really?
Yeah. You know, we won Team of the Year last year. We have a lot of top level guys, and getting to work with these people every day, you know, Neil Magny, Justin Gaethje, Corey Sandhagen, Curtis Blades. I know there's even, you know, Usman's been training out here with us. You know, there's a big list, and to be able to be in the room with these guys, and not only in the room but doing rounds with them and learning from them, and you know, I'm being friends, and like we all do, you know, stuff outside of training together, and like it's just, you know, the things I learn from it and get from it is just like immeasurable for my career. If I, you know, I moved out here on a whim, kind of, I just picked up and moved out one day, and is was just kind of a leap of faith. And it's definitely been the best decision of my life. There's no doubt in my mind I would not be where I am right now if I didn't live here and make the move here, and took that risk, you know. So yeah, it's definitely been life changing being here.
So these training partners you mentioned there, I mean, obviously some of the best fighters in the world there. So Gaethje, who's obviously one of the top guys in your division, your weight class. What's it like training with him on a daily basis? Does he help? Does he teach you? Does he help you out with stuff?
Oh yeah. He's such a good guy. You know, he's all of our teammates. All of them are we're a very close team. You know what I mean? Like we're not like a a giant team who have like 50 plus people, you know, but we have a very solid group that are we're all really close. No one has a big ego about anything. We all help each other um wherever we can, whether that's in the cage or outside of the cage. Uh and I think that's what really makes us different, and you know, is plays a big part into our success is you know, we all keep each other honest and make each other work hard, and we all learn from each other and grow from each other, and it's just really cool.
Obviously, you mentioned Neil Magny there. I'm a big fan of Neil Magny. I've had him on the
Yeah,
pod before. He's such a great guy. I
yeah,
understand he
he
was the one
is.
who sort of took you under his wing and
Yeah,
showed you around and made you feel at home. Is that right?
yeah. It's funny because the very first time I ever came out here to Colorado, I'm originally from Illinois. I lived, grew up there my whole life. I moved to Colorado about 5 years ago, actually. In April will be 5 years. So when I first came out here, I had no intentions on moving here or anything like that. I was just coming out here to train for a week, and that's just all it was gonna be. And I got out here, and I just absolutely loved everything about, you know, being here, training with the team. Like as far as the training partners, the city, the being in Colorado, everything just felt really good. And that first week out being out here, I was staying in a hotel, obviously, and Neil, being the awesome guy he is, he's like, hey, yeah, if you ever come back out, you know, I rent out rooms at my house, and you know, you can stay at the house for cheaper and this and that. I'm like, okay, cool, you know. So long story short, I went home on a Sunday, went to work on a Monday. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put in for a transfer. Not like I'll actually get it. I didn't think, at least. And at the time, I was working at Walmart in a distribution center. Like I said, I put in for a transfer. Out of state transfers were really hard to get. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna get it, but shit, what's it hurt to to try? I put in for the transfer. They literally called me the next day and was like, "Hey, you got that transfer. When can you move?" I was like, "Well, shit. When do you need to know?" And they're like, "We need to know within like 24 hours." So, meeting Neil, I text. He gave us his number and everything. I was like, "Hey, man, I think I'm gonna move out there. Do you still have a room? Like, is it okay if I come and live there and rent a room for you and everything?" He's like, "Yeah, no problem." And it's kind of funny because looking back, he later told me, he's like, "Yeah, I didn't think you were gonna come." And
Yeah.
he was actually in it was when he was fighting Hector Lombard, was when I got there. So he wasn't even home, like in his house when I got there. And he got home from that fight and was like, "Oh shit, he's actually here." And we've been I lived with him for a while, and I still live in his house. He has a different house now, but rents this house out. And yeah, he's been, I think, that pretty much every single one of my fights since joining the team. He's been in my corner and all of my fights pretty much leading up to the UFC. And he's someone he's always there for me, fighting and not fighting. And he's been such a great inspiration and role model to me. And I love the dude. I can't say, no one can say anything bad about him. He is such a good heart, and definitely thankful for meeting him, and he's helped me immensely to get to where I'm at, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I love him too. I've never met him, man. So I
Yeah.
get it. So you mentioned Illinois there. Do you ever get a chance to go back when you're not in camp? Go back home and that, see your friends and stuff?
Yeah. So I usually go home after every fight, visit family. My fiance actually lives there still. She's moving here soon, but it's been a long 2 years apart, and it's tough. But we make it work. And like I said, I go back pretty much every chance I can to spend time with her and see my family and everything else. So yeah, I go back, like I said, quite a bit, holidays, after every fight. I give myself usually about 2 weeks after a fight of downtime. Uh, and after those 2 weeks, I'm right back into training and everything else. So I usually spend that 2 weeks there with her, and then once that's up, it's game time again.
Always, man. So getting back to fighting then, what are your thoughts on the current situation in the lightweight division? Do you think Khabib's coming back? Do you think they should take the title off him? What do you think's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, listening to him talk, it sounds like he has no, like, absolutely no, like, uh, wantingness or
Tension, yeah.
willingness to come back. He seems pretty set in retirement. So I say let the man retire if that's what he wants to do. Um, I don't know. Dana's holding on to. He's coming back at least one more fight. I don't know if
Dana
he
does
will.
not want him to retire, does he?
Yeah, I honestly don't think he will. But who knows? Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. I don't think it'll happen. So I think uh, there's some big fights coming up that in the lightweight division. Gaethje, is right on that doorstep. Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira. Those are like the main names that are coming to mind right now that I think, if Khabib is done, and I think more than likely he is, that these guys are gonna be at holding that title here soon, or at least fighting for it. So yeah, I don't think he's coming back, but who knows?
Yeah, it's a bit of a circus, isn't it, all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, 2020 was a difficult year for everybody really. How did the COVID outbreak affect you and your training personally?
You know what? 2020 was, for the most part, one of my best years of being alive. The outbreak
Awesome.
really didn't affect me all that much. I was able to train just the same. We had to switch, certain things up a little bit, smaller groups and, little different training schedule, but I was still able to get the work in, no problem. Um, and as far as like opportunity for me, it increased, during the lock-in. I was able to fight 3 times last year with no issue at all. I would have easily have got 4 fights in if it wasn't for the injury. And with the lockdown, fighters were at a higher commodity because they're putting on these shows pretty much every weekend. And so you were able to fight almost as much as you wanted because they were putting on so many shows. And so like I said, it worked out well for me. I made the best of a shitty situation. Obviously, a pandemic is unfortunate, and I didn't like all the restrictions, as most people didn't, and all that stuff. And I feel for anyone who's lost someone to COVID. But me personally, it didn't affect me too much. Like I said, if anything, it almost was in my favor just because of my opportunities to fight and everything were higher and things like that.
Of
So
course, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, thankfully 2021 is going to be the end of this pandemic. It looks
yeah,
like, with the vaccine and all that. So maybe switching the question up a little bit, not so much the opportunities to fight. How has it affected you, like fighting in the empty arenas? Are you looking forward to getting the fans back and just having a bit more of an atmosphere in fight week and stuff, and at the weigh-ins and that?
it is really different. It's really quiet in there, and it's almost like a training room type of atmosphere. So for me, I didn't mind it necessarily. Like the whole process, like how fast they get us in there and out and everything else. It was really, I liked it because it was you get there like an hour before you fight, you warm up, you fight, and then afterwards you're doing your interviews and this and that, and then they're shipping you back off to the hotel, and you're like free and done for the night. So, I
Yeah,
liked it in that aspect. It's fast, it's efficient. You're in, you're out, and you're free, and so I liked it. As far as the crowds and everything, it was pros and cons to it. The atmosphere with all the fans and the energy in the crowd and everything, there that is really cool too. You know what I mean? Honestly though, once the fight gets started, I don't you that's nothing to you. Well, at least for me, anyways. I don't even notice the noise, the people, this, that. You know what I mean? You're just lasered in on the fight. The only difference I felt like for me, anyways, is just the walkout. It is really cool to feel that energy, to have all those cheers or maybe boos in some cases and all that stuff as you're walking out. It really gets you pretty hyped, but I I really don't mind the closed crowds and everything because, like I said, it's a kind of a training room type of atmosphere. So it kind of takes a little stress off of you a little bit, um, that type of thing. So I'm cool with either
yeah,
or. It doesn't matter to me if my next 5 fights are without crowds or my next 2 are without crowds, and then the fans are back. I do hope we do bring the fans back at some point. As far as when and that type of thing, to me it makes no difference.
yeah. I mean, that's the same as many fighters I've spoken to. Really, a lot
Yeah,
of fighters actually quite enjoyed the like being in the zone more of the fight. Like you said, it's more like a
yeah,
training room sort of environment. So you can hear your
yeah,
coaches better and all that stuff. You
yeah,
can hear the punches landing, that sort of thing, rather
yeah.
than
I
the
feel
roar of
like
the crowd.
yeah, it's really cool to watch these cards too. because like you said, you can hear the hits, you can hear
Oh,
like
definitely.
all that type of things that normally you can't really notice as much with the crowds there. So I think, like I said, it's pros and cons to both sides of it. But yeah, it's whatever.
So we touched on it briefly earlier, but what are your goals for this year then? What's your main aim?
uh, this year I feel like is a very important year for me. Being right now, I'm 2-3 in the UFC, so my first and foremost goal this year is to be positive on my contract and positive